Broken by Violence welcomes you to another episode of Spoken, breaking the cycle of violence by not keeping silent. I'm your founder, Ebony Antoine, and our panel, Kuhn the Poet and Dr. LaDonna Butler. So Kuhn, we'll put it in the hands of you. Would you please introduce our guests?
All right, welcome, family. I have the very, very strong and beautiful and wonderful and marvelous pleasure introducing my brother by the way of spirit, by the way of our city, and being legacies of our cities and protectors of our city. I would like to introduce y'all to my brother, also a survivor, David Carneys Jr. And so at this point, if we can just put our hearts together and clap our hearts and apply with our hearts, and open our hearts and wear our hearts, for my brother, a fellow Wear Your Heart tribe member, agent, and warrior. It's all on you, Dave. Go ahead and open up, brother.
Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for the platform. Can y'all hear me okay? Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I was making sure you can hear me. All right, first and foremost, anytime I do anything or say anything, I have to give it back to the spirits, the higher beings, those that created us. So I have to always start by saying, what I just said is I seek refuge from any and all things of negative energy, negative vibes, or negative intention. And I call on and seek aid and assistance in my raid, my creator, and my most high being of all things. My name is David Anthony Carneys Jr. Like he said, I'm a resident of Sacramento. I was born in Sacramento. I spent my childhood or adolescent days in Sacramento, but I grew up in St. Louis, Missouri. And that's where I first encountered violence. I'll say in first person. It was in St. Louis, Missouri. I was on the wrong side of the law. I kind of got lost in my ways, and I actually added to the violence that happened to me, so to speak. You know, I was into fast money, and I put myself out there as being one that was getting fast money. And guys were trying to rob me. They were coming through what we call gangways, or in between two houses or two apartment buildings. And I was getting ready to go the opposite way through the same apartment buildings and startled them, and they shot me in my face. My gunshot wound is right here over my eye. You guys can see it. That was the first encounter with being a shooting victim. I've been shot 3 times. I've been stabbed twice. Each stabbing time was while I was in the penal system, while I was in the Department of Corrections in the state of Missouri. I did 11 and a half years because I liked the fast money. No, and in these day and times, I see the vital part that I play in today's youth or today's society or culture of minorities or of the same hue as you and I. You know, so I'm big on giving back and telling my story. There's a lot of people that don't know to what extent my story really follows. Actually, was a target of a hit. Somebody wanted the neighborhood in the street that I was on, and I wasn't just so quick to give it up because the money was coming in. At that time, I felt beautiful. I mean, only until I reached the penal system and seeing what nothing felt like, what having nothing felt like again. And knowing the troubles that I call it a triple effect that it had, or the domino effect it had on my peers and on my loved ones. I've lost, I probably lost count of how many friends and close family members that I've lost to gun violence or to just community violence, community-induced violence. That I all see as being a violence of poverty. You know, like I've learned how the creation is all connected, and all things of the creation is connected, and how it triggers things. So in saying that, what I'm gonna say is it's like I've learned what it is to be lost, and now I understand what it means to be found, to be truly found. And being found is understanding, you know, having knowledge of, gaining the wisdom or insight to, and being able to identify those initial triggers or when you see things. Like I still to this day, my wife, you know, she kind of is intimidated by trying to wake me up in my sleep because I think somebody's coming after me, or I sleep next to my bed with an assault rifle, or I wake up and I grab people, and it's because I'm just constantly going through that, what they call it, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, bipolar schizophrenia. So even though I wasn't clinically labeled as bipolar schizophrenia, I see it firsthand and I understand what that mental defect is, and I wear it and I embrace it. I'm around and I'm committed to just like promoting change or prompting change. My biggest fear in life is leaving without giving something of positive energy or positive nature to build off of, uplift off of, or to inspire and promote. That's one of my biggest fears. My other one is when I go and actually meet my creator. It's the only two fears I have in life. And that is because of escalated violence. I'm wearing a bullet in my knee right now that you constantly feel it shifts, it moves. That was somebody who was coming trying to rob me again, because again, I was in the chase and the pursuit of fast money. I was out doing things and promoting things that quite naturally you get what you give. I'm big on karma. What you put out is what you get in return. And I used to cry over being shot. I used to hurt. I used to complain. And it took for me to sit in my cell. It took for two Europeans to come after me with penitentiary made shanks, which is how I got stabbed the 2 times I was stabbed. It took for me to go through all that and to understand, like, I ain't got a gun now. I can't go and shoot. I don't have the power or the influence that I once had when I was on the street. And that was all on me. And I learned about the cornell of man. When you put in a situation where you can't think, you escalate or resort back to that carnal instincts, which is violence. It's like a mutt being put in a corner. It snaps and then it runs away. And it brought me back to my roots. My grandmother, she's a pioneer of Sacramento. She's one of the first to serve, a female of African descent to serve on the board of supervisors. She was councilwoman Callie Carney. She did a lot in these streets to just uplift, and that's what I want my story and my experience to be positive. Like when I first was introduced, I gave you guys a few words from a poem I wrote called 360 Degrees, and in that poem I said I learned how to transform what was deemed as bad shame into great qualities. And those bad shames, that's what I'm capitalizing off of. That's what I'm building off of, because it helps me to identify those traits in the youth or in other individuals. So like when we're out during these protest times, during the times like what's going on right now, I'm able to identify the body language of who's really about change and doing something of positive influence, or who is on something of negative interest. And just in knowing that, like, I really give that back. And I was paying attention to your last episode, and the woman that spoke, I just want to applaud her. I understood her tears that were no longer tears of pain, tears of pain or anger, but it was tears of joy and overcome. And I do understand the triumph that she spoke of. With we have a story to tell, and I beg to differ. But hers is very unique, just like mine is unique. Because to each his own, and we all of a different nature, even though we all are of one. And like, I appreciate to have a platform like this to where we can just really come out and we can give that back. I don't want to go into too many details of revolving around my shooting, because like I return fire. There's no statute of limitation. So it's legal purposes. It's just I like to walk the plane in the field that I'm on, in the path that I'm on now. And that's what I want to be known as, that man, not that victim, but that victim that became a king. That victim that he came out of the rubble. He was that rose that grew from that concrete. He was that prison that was able to reflect light instead of just take light. And Coon, I really appreciate warriors like you. I don't call you a survivor. I call you a divine intervention. Because it was divinely remote for you to experience what you experienced and be put in my life. Whether if it's an age difference or not, I still look up to you and I salute you always. Just like the queens here, like I salute you guys, and I thank you guys. Whether you was firsthand, you experienced violence, first person, third person, it's nothing. It's all one and the same, because I work on a day-to-day basis with victims of community violence. You know, I'm a first responder to gang violence. Anytime it's a shooting or a tragedy that can actually excel into more violence, I have to respond to that. I just left from working at Burbank High School. You know, they were getting the caps and gowns, and I seen over 200 kids come and receive caps and gowns and diplomas today. Made me shed a tear because in this day and time, you don't see that too much. Like, I was a high school dropout. I ended up getting my GED while in the penal system. I ended up receiving associate's degree while in the penal system. You know, that penal. I had to go through that refinement stage, and that bullet, that fire that was behind that bullet, it was just a part of that refinement for me to become who I was. And to those who are victimized, I always want to say I'm sorry. You know, I apologize. I was lost. I was lost in my ways, but I still hold myself accountable, and I hold the rest of those out here accountable who are lost. Because a lot of these victimizers today, they're just lost souls. They're hurt. Like she said, hurt people. And that's something that we're big on. And, like, that's really all that I have. I just wanted to share that with you guys. Like I say, I've been shot 3 times. I've been stabbed twice. You know, like, I can just sit and go on and on about the incidents that happened around that, but I'd rather speak about this, the giving somebody else the opportunity of not having to go through that, telling them about the triggers, you know, or those signs, those warning signs, those symbols, you know, that are up there, those cautionary signs. And that, I say, Shay, Shay.
Shay, we honor you, King. We honor your story. We honor the strength that you bring to our village. I personally experience power as you speak your truth, and I feel protected because you are still here. And so thank you for your story and your reflection of light. There are so many things I want to explore with you, but just for the sake of time and those who might be watching us, I'm going to reflect that question back to you. If you were sitting with you, what's the one thing that you would ask?
Can you repeat that question? Because I didn't hear you.
Yeah. If you were sitting with you, what's the one thing that you would ask?
The one thing I would ask myself if I was sitting with me,
Yeah.
is how to. And what I mean by how to be the best you, how to be in your higher self, how to not do that, how to resist that, how to discipline yourself, how to help, how to advocate, how to eradicate, how to educate, how to uplift. It will have to be how to.
And we understand that how to can only be answered as you seek higher meaning and purpose.
Absolutely.
How did you find out your personal response, your personal answer to how to?
Experience. I had to endure. I had to learn patience and humility and perseverance. I'm also a 2-time cancer survivor. You know, I walked through cancer twice, from 2000 to 2005. I've been in remission since September 27, 2005. So, like I said, I had to go through that refinement stage. And in that refinement stage, I learned me. I learned the highs of me, and I learned the lows of me, and I've accepted me. And that's how I've been able to, you know, embrace and work on and move forward, and how I've been able to aid and assist others. That's why it's quietly and it's not loudly, like, it's sincere and it's actually from the heart.
Thank you for living.
Thank you.
Thank you for helping us to break the silence and the violence by not remaining silent. Your story is your experience, your life is so important, and it will set the tone for every life and every step after you. There will be young men, my sons will watch your story and be changed as a result of what you shared today. And so thank you. So thank you for living and making a choice every single day to breathe, to open up your eyes, and to take the next right foot forward.
Can I highlight that and put emphasis on what you just said? You said thank you for living, and I keep hearing you because I'm very word conscious and I'm big on words. I just anybody that could possibly be watching or that's watching or that's listening, I want to highlight the importance on living and not just existing, not always I'll die for this, I'll die for that, I'll live. You know, to live is to give life to and to put life back in, and that's important. I just wanted to thank you for continuously highlighting that. That's very big.
Thank you for doing it. Thank you. I'm going to send it back to our founder, Ebony, who continues to make space for us, continues to make room for our voices to be heard because often they have been muted, they have been silenced, they have been intentionally attacked. But we are here and we breathe and we live and we move and we speak with power. So, Ebony, we salute you, Queen.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Brother David. Thank you for sharing your powerful testimony to life and triumph and transformation. And thank you for living. That was powerful. Thank you for also giving that feedback of what living is. And we all should aim to live a little bit more. I want to thank you all for tuning in to Spoken. This is the platform we created to give your pain a voice. We are breaking the cycle of violence by not staying silent. Please stay tuned for our next episode of Spoken. Brother Kuhn, will you close us?
And we say, the whisper I heard was, speak life when you're feeling lifeless, and give love when you need it most. Even when we in the middle of a crisis, don't you forget that you powerful. Don't you forget that you phenomenal. Don't you forget that you beautiful. Don't you forget that you magical. And I say, speak life when you feeling lifeless, and give love when you need it most. When we feel as if it's hard to reach our destination, when you feel as if it's hard to reach your destination, whisper to the mirror, you're getting close. And I say, speak life when you're feeling lifeless, and give love when you need it most. No matter how dark or painful your life is, don't you forget that you got to glow. So let your light shine. Now is the right time. This is Spoken. So speak life. Peace.